lake last week with the boats. That was really good, really enjoyed that. I mean, John got wet and things, but that's okay. And then we're off to the mountains today, so we need to figure out... Oh, hey, Grandpa.
Oh, Tim,
Hello.
how are you?
I'm okay, thank you. How are you?
I'm amazing. Do you know, we've had a brilliant time teaching Luke how to make fire.
Yeah, I know. I heard the sirens.
Oh yes, some lovely guys came with a big van that had flashing lights on it, but there was no need.
Why was there no need, Grandpa?
Because I was there. Now, do you know how you can always make fire using just one stick?
I thought you needed 2 sticks.
No.
You do it 1 stick?
Just use the Grampa method.
Okay.
And make sure that 1 stick is a match.
Okay, all right. Well, Grandpa, you
Hi.
can maybe, because in your amazing wisdom, maybe you can help me, because I'm trying to figure out where we can camp.
Ah, yes.
Where the next spot we can camp in.
Yes.
So we're off to the mountains next.
Oh, no.
No,
No, you don't want to camp up a mountain.
No, not up a mountain.
I've spotted a lovely little place where there's lots of water, so that if in the middle of the night I've got to go, I can just nip out and have a quick go in the sea.
In the sea? Water in the sea? We can't camp on the sea. We can't, hammer the pegs in. It would get all soaking.
No. But in front of the sea, there is a lovely big yellow bit. It's lovely soft, the sand is lovely, the view is great. I think we should go there.
You mean this beachy bit?
Ah, is that what it's called?
But we can't camp on the sand. We won't be able to hammer the pegs in. And, all the sand would get inside our sleeping bags.
Have you tried?
Well, yes, I have actually. I've tried to hammer a peg into sand. It just kind of comes straight out.
Always with you, what cannot be done.
Yes, Yoda.
Do or do not. There is no try.
Look, and plus, the beach is really, really super far away from the mountain, and John's already started on his trip up the mountain.
Ah, John. How is he these days?
He's doing all right. He was very hungry, actually. That's why we need to prepare a picnic for when he comes back down.
Why don't we camp near the shops?
Near the shops? Well, there are no shops on the map. The shops would be the one. Do you mean the ones in Whitchurch?
Well, there's a lovely car park we could put the tent in.
But we won't be able to hammer the pegs in. The point is, Grandpa, is that the tents have got to be secure to the floor.
You're getting so intense about this.
Yes, I am intense. I'm hoping to be intense, but we can't figure out where to camp. Right, so we need to be near the mountain. So I think this lovely field just by here, which actually says a little campsite next to it, that is a perfect spot to go into.
You mean somebody's already written it on the map for us?
Somebody has already written where the campsite is next to the mountain on the map.
That's amazing.
So I think we should use that one. What do you reckon?
My main thought is, how awesome is that?
How awesome is that indeed? Well, so whilst we're preparing for the picnic then, maybe we can check in on John and see how he's getting on up the mountain.
Which way do you go?
That way.
Whew. That was a long climb to get to the top of this mountain. Thanks so much for coming with me. Now, I don't know if you remember this, but last Sunday morning we started our Camp Freedom journey in a boat. Anyone remember whose boat it was? Oh yes, I do. It was Pete's boat. And Jesus got down into Pete's boat and was pushed out onto the sea because there were so many people along the edge of the water that wanted to listen to him. And this amazing thing happens that I'll let you go back and listen to. But this Sunday, we're up on the mountain because, again, there are so many people that want to hear what Jesus has got to say that a mountain is about the only place where they could all sit down and listen to him together. And when the crowds all sit down, Jesus sat down as well and just begins talking to them about how life is meant to be lived. And so in Matthew chapter 5 and chapter 6, and chapter 7, we have Jesus' sermon. It's called the Sermon on the Mount because it was a sermon on a mount. You're glad that you've got a minister teaching you this morning, right? And it is amazing. Many, many people have looked at this and said that this is the greatest talk ever given in human history. And Jesus just talks to them about how life should be lived. He talks to us about being light for people in dark places. He talks to us about being loving people at all times. He talks about being loyal in the promises that we make to each other and the promises we make to God. He talks about what it means to live generously, just to give stuff away and not even to think about it. He tells us some stuff that we can let go of, like worries or money. And sometimes those two things go right hand in hand, don't they? He tells us we can let go of judging others. We could just let it go. And then right at the end of this amazing talk, he finishes with a story. Now, today, it's a really famous story. I'm sure you've heard it loads and loads of times before. It's a short story, so I'm sure you can remember it. But I wonder what Jesus means by this story. And I wonder why he tells it right at the end of his long sermon. So the story is about two people. And Jesus is really telling us that there are two ways to live. One guy, and we're going to call him Dino, he sets out to build a house. And Dino looks around for somewhere to build. And he spots a rock. And he thinks, I'm going to build my house up there on a rock. Because on a rock you can dig down deep, can't you? You can put foundations really, really low into the rock, and you're kind of borrowing the strength of the rock to keep your house safe. So Dino builds his house up there on a rock. Then there's another kind of builder, or another way to live. We're going to call him Dumbo. And Dumbo looks around for someone to build his house. And he sees the rocks that Dino has built on, and he thinks, that's going to be a lot of work. It's going to take a lot of time. It doesn't got a great view. I'm going to look for somewhere else. And Dino looks around and sees the beach. And Dino thinks, I'm going to build my house right there on the sand because it's right by the ocean. It won't take long. Sand is really easy to dig. I'm sure you've made sand castles. And Dumbo just thinks to himself, that will be the perfect place for my house. So there's Dumbo with his beach hut, there's Dino with his rock house, and the two of them are just doing life together. And then Jesus says, one day there was a really bad storm. The weather changed, the dark clouds came in, and the rain hurled against the house. For Dino, he can just sit back and let it rain. He ain't worried at all. His house is going nowhere. He's secure. But of course, for poor Dumbo, down on the beach, when sand gets wet, it just goes to mush. And so his walls begin to crack and crumble and fall. The door falls off, the windows fall in. And by the time the storm is over, the house has collapsed and Dumbo has sailed off out into the sea. It's a famous story, but why is Jesus telling it to us? Why is he telling it now? Okay, well, to help understand this story, I'm going to ask you to try and do something, okay? Can you wink? Just have a go for me. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Now, some of you can, some of you can't. Some of you will need to practice for a while, maybe doing it with your finger, because when we first wink, it's something that we have to think about, and it's something we have to learn to do. Let's try another one. Slightly more tricky, maybe. Can anyone click their fingers? Takes a while to learn. You've got to learn exactly where to put it and how hard to press it. But eventually, if you try long enough and hard enough, most of us can click our fingers. Okay, let's just try one more. Can you tie your shoelaces? Yeah? I can tie my shoelaces, but it took me a while, and there are different ways that people can teach you to do it. But if you try long enough, and you practice hard enough, and you stop wearing Crocs or Velcro trainers, you'll have to learn how to tie your shoelace. Now, for some of us, we've been clicking and winking and tying our shoelaces for years and never really thought about it. But when we first did it, when we started it, we had to really think about it. The only way you can really learn to do something is by doing it over and over and over and over. That's the way we pick up things called habits, don't we? Some of our habits are not very good, like picking our nose, or burping around the dinner table. All of those things, try not to do. And some habits are really good, like washing our hands, or praying in the morning, or praying before we go to bed at night. But the only way we get those habits is by doing it over and over until we do it without questioning whether we're going to do it or not, or how we're going to do it. We just get on with it. Now, right at the start of the story of Dino and Dumbo, Jesus says these words: "Everyone who hears these things I say and obeys them is like a wise person who built their house on a rock." Did you catch that little bit in the middle? Everyone who hears these words and puts them into practice, and who obeys them. I came across recently this really cool old Chinese saying that goes something like this in English: if you're not doing it, you haven't learnt it. Which means I can hear a lot of things, I can know a lot of stuff, but that doesn't mean I can do it. It's only the things that I've learned to obey, the things that I've learned to put into practice, that are really deep down deep in my life, deep down deep in my heart, and deep down deep in my thinking. Just like with a house, you need to build foundations. That's what Jesus is saying. If we listen to him and do what he does and what he tells us to do, it's like building foundations. It's like his word goes really deep, not just into our minds, but into our habits, into our bodies, into our lives. What kind of habits do you think Jesus would want you to have? What kind of things do you think Jesus might want you to do? I don't know if you're going away on holiday this summer, and where you've been able to go, but sometimes when we're going away on holiday, our mums and dads jump on their phone every couple of days and just check the weather. Just see, is it going to be sunny? Is it going to be rainy? Is there going to be thunder? Is there going to be lightning? Are we even going to have a freak snowstorm? Because we want to know that we're going to have a good time. Because part of life, whether we like it or not, is the weather, and the weather can change, and the weather can change really quickly. And in this story that Jesus tells, that the weather does change very, very quickly. Suddenly there are clouds, suddenly there's rain, suddenly there's change. And you know, it's not just holidays that that's true of. Life can throw us all kinds of surprises. Sometimes suddenly something that we never worried about becomes a worry for us. Sometimes there are changes that blow in like winds really, really quickly. Sometimes there are sad things that hit us, like rain that falls and doesn't seem to stop. And what Jesus is telling us is that he wants us in those moments of change and sadness and storm to have a deep foundation for our lives, not to be blown around, not to be knocked down, not to be destroyed by these things, but to be able to rest secure on a rock. And the Bible tells us again and again and again that Jesus is our rock. That though lots of things change in this life, lots of things come and go, there's lots of things you can't count on forever, but Jesus never changes. Whatever comes, guys, whatever has already happened to us over the last year and a half, whatever might happen to us in the next year and a half, the next week and a half, the next minute and a half, Jesus will always be there for you, and his words will always be true. The question is, will they be deep in our hearts and minds, so deep that in the day of trouble we can stand really strong and stand really sure? Right, well now I've got to get back down that mountain. I hope Tim's got some food on, I'm starving. Tim, we're coming! Tim!
Thank you so much, John, for that brilliant story. Hope you enjoyed your time up on the mountain. So we're going to take a moment here to pray, and we're going to do an action prayer. Sometimes if we've been sitting still for a while, it's good to do a little bit of movement, a little bit of arm movement, maybe some feet movement as well. We'll see how it goes. But we're going to use this prayer to build on a firm foundation. So that's what we've got. We've got a firm foundation, and then we've got our building blocks going on top of each other. So join along with me now as we enter into prayer. Dear God, thank you for the story that we hear this morning of the wise man and the foolish man, Lord. And thank you for the idea that we can build on a firm foundation. That if we read our Bible, and if we pray regularly, and if we listen for your voice in our lives, and we do as you ask, we will be building our house on this firm foundation. And so that when our house is on this foundation, when the storms come, we can hold firm. And when the surprises come, we can hold firm. And when change comes, we can hold firm on the rock that is Jesus. On the deep, deep, deep foundations that hold our lives. Thank you, Lord, for these foundations that we can build upon. Amen.
Oh wow, this is so tasty. Cheeseburger. Cooking.
Oh my, I can't believe Minxy's eaten all the food. I mean, we're going to have to go to the picnic now. 4 o'clock at Haley Park. We need to be there. We need to be there for the picnic. Otherwise we're not going to eat. Oh, John! Good. Good to see you. How was the mountain?
It's high.
Is it really?
Mountains are high, but yeah, it was really cool. It
Was it really
great
good?
view from
Which
there.
one did you go up? Is it that one there?
Do you see the one with the snow on top?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, not that one.
Okay.
Next to that, there's one, a slightly smaller one.
Yeah.
With a bunch of trees on.
Okay.
Yeah, not that one.
Okay.
There's a smaller one just before that.
Yeah.
And then you see, if you follow the path down, there's a fence with a sign that says entrance on.
Okay.
Yeah, I walked to there.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
are you sure you had enough oxygen there?
It's touch and go. But, you know, as a minister, you do these things for your people.
So,
For your children.
I realised that walk,
Yes.
and I'm guessing from this get-up now that you're hungry.
Oh, man, I'm starving. I don't know, I shouted from over there, I don't know if you heard me.
I heard
Get the barbecue on.
I heard a little echo of it.
I'm
Problem
ready for
is,
a
I wasn't the only one who
cheeseburger.
heard it.
Oh.
Minxy heard as
Oh,
well.
he's welcome. He's welcome, yeah.
Yeah, but he might have eaten all the food. There's only crackers left.
But you might have had the cheese, but not the burger. Sure.
No. He had everything.
Did mice like onions?
No, he ate everything.
Gherkins?
Just the crackers are left. Even the ketchup, he slurped it down.
The barbecue ribs?
Yeah, even those. Just the bones left.
The Chinese chicken?
Just the chicken left.
Wow.
But the problem is, all is not lost. We've got a picnic down at Haley Park at 4 o'clock. That
4
we can go
o'clock?
To. 4 o'clock, I know. You can make it, John. It'll be okay. Look, we can take this shortcut here.